Durian rotting in warehouses, exports plunging 27%, 190,000 people flooding the National Civil Service exam. People born in the 70s are in debt. The 80s are locked into mortgages. The 90s are unemployed, and the aughts have opted to lie flat. From the fruit market to the civil service exam hall, from mortgage slaves to villagers confronting officials, this isn't an economic cooldown. It's the live scene of a nationwide collapse in confidence. Don't miss the next drop. Subscribe and enable the bell. Can you believe it? Durian is now cheaper than cabbage, 15 yuan a caddy and still no takers. Fruit growers say, we can't sell it, even at a loss, no one buys. Streets are empty, shops have no customers, the whole of China feels like it's suddenly lost power. Even more shocking, the people haven't disappeared, the money hasn't disappeared, but no one dares to spend. Those born in the 80s are shackled by mortgages, the 90s can't find jobs, and the aughts simply say, I'm out. I'm lying flat. A silent collapse is unfolding around us. Some are desperate to pass the civil service exam just for stability. Others in Jiangxi confront a deputy town chief over land, and even the police show up. The top shouts the economy is bright, but on the ground people have only anxiety and fear. Fruit won't sell, factories aren't running, houses can't be sold. This isn't a numbers problem. This is a confidence problem. Fruit prices collapse. A bleak landscape after the Golden Week holiday. Can you believe it? Durians that recently sold for 50 to 60 yuan a caddy now go for just over a dozen. And still no one wants them. It's not just durian. Even the most ordinary fruits like apples and pomelos aren't moving. It's harvest season, yet fruit growers are lamenting in unison. Nothing sells this year. Even at a loss, there are no buyers. Why did China's fruit market suddenly collapse? Behind it is a real portrait of economic slowdown and consumption downgrade. At the Jiangnan fruit wholesale market, truckloads of durians and pomelos sit in warehouses with no inquiries. One wholesaler says bluntly, this year is especially bad. More than 20 million caddies of fruit are hard to move. It's much worse than previous years. In the past, durian was the noble of fruits. Now you can buy decent grade A stock for 13.8 yuan. But the problem is, no one wants it. In recent days, the market is practically empty of people. Only the cold storage is full of fruit. Sellers wryly joke, durian freedom is real freedom now, 15.8 yuan a caddy, take as you please. In 20 minutes, they can't sell a single order. The cargo owner is frantic. A single container might lose over 100,000 yuan. Consumption downgrades, industry slump. The slump isn't only in fruit. Right after the Mid-Autumn Plus National Day-long holiday, the number of trips hit a record 888 million, but per capita spending was the lowest since the pandemic, just 911 yuan. The holiday windfall merchants used to rely on quietly collapsed this year. Many restaurant and retail owners say business didn't pick up during the holiday. It was even quieter than usual. Our shop is near the subway. Foot traffic is heavy, but no one comes in to eat. We guard the shop for over 10 hours and can't even hit 1,000 yuan in revenue. Another owner sighed, we've wholesaled fruit for 20 years, never seen an October like this. Some have it worse, warehouses stacked with goods, storefronts moved to new locations, but no customers, and a pile of returns. Farmers watch their prized hairy crabs and shine muscat grapes ripen only to go unsold. The customers who used to scramble to buy crabs this time of year are gone. Only construction sites and laborers are still working. People keep asking, where are the people? Where's the money? Where did it all go? The holiday market was watery to begin with. After the long break, the streets are even colder, shops silent, and the market feels like it's suddenly lost power. This isn't just a winter for a few sectors. It's a collapse of overall consumer confidence. When people start competing to be frugal, pinching pennies to the point they won't even buy fruit, the economy's momentum is ebbing away, drop by drop. The great economic ebb, multiple generations trapped. From the crash in the fruit market to failed holiday consumption, the picture is clear. Money isn't circulating. More frightening than the retreat of money is the collapse of confidence. Let's see how the downturn has trapped those born in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and aughts. In recent years, more and more people say China's economy isn't merely about ugly numbers. It's that society as a whole feels stifled. Whether middle-aged or newly graduated, people say life is getting harder, work less secure, and the pressure of housing is like a mountain. The economic slide has pushed entire generations into difficulty. The 80s cohort, a roller coaster life. Spent the first half of life buying a house, spend the second half being trapped by it. That about sums up those born in the 80s. They caught the wave of China's urbanization boom, worked frantically, took on mortgages, and felt they'd made the right bet. Housing prices rose, assets multiplied. Many thought they'd finally made it. Then in the past 2 or 3 years, it all stopped abruptly. Housing prices plunged, assets shrank, and the loans still have to be paid. People who believed effort would pay off are now trapped in mortgages like prisoners, hence the nickname mortgage slaves. Finance blogger Anxious Croquette put it bluntly, the 80s were on a roller coaster. Halfway up, the track collapsed. After a decade plus of effort having seemingly reached a peak, they were knocked back to square one overnight. Their spending power is now squeezed dry by mortgages. Domestic demand is sluggish, largely because this cohort dare not spend. The 90s cohort, high education anxiety and workplace involution. Those born in the 90s aren't much better off. Unlike the 80s, they didn't catch the biggest dividend years. They entered the workforce just as the gravy train stopped. Many started on 6,000 to 7,000 yuan a month. A fair number had studied overseas. Before they could settle in, their industries began layoffs. After-school tutoring, internet platforms, real estate, once booming high-paying sectors collapsed overnight. One 90s-born person put it this way, we hadn't even had our fill before the table was flipped. Worse, education no longer pays. Study abroad, then upon returning discover companies don't recognize degrees from non-elite schools. Some even call them diploma mills. Many spend hundreds of thousands on degrees, only to lose out to domestic 985 to 11 grads. Reality seems to tell the 90s that effort is meaningless. That's what truly breeds despair. The aughts cohort simply choosing to lie flat. For those born after 2000, the situation is clearer, but more powerless. They watched parents and older siblings get crushed by housing. They saw that even with effort, one still can't buy a home or get a good job. So they vote with their feet, not playing. I'm lying flat. Rather than get harvested after trying hard, they decide not to get on the field at all. They no longer chase the traditional markers, home, marriage, kids. They spend on emotional goods and experiences, designer toys, games, short trips, just to find some comfort. Blogger Rockmaster was even more direct. Many people just don't work now, lying low to get by. Some spend the family's money first. When it's gone, they check out. Others say buying a home is boarding a pirate ship. Once on, it's mortgage, renovation, wedding, kids, cram school. You can't escape. This ebb doesn't only wash away the prosperity and economic data, it also washes away the confidence and hope of an entire generation. From the financial anxiety of the 70s and the asset collapse of the 80s, to the workplace involution of the 90s and the clear-eyed resignation of the aughts, each generation is experiencing its own trap. So here's the question. With multiple generations stuck at once, is it really because they did something wrong? Or has the entire economic model reached a turning point? Deflation threat worsens in September while state media ramps up the cheerleading. As multiple generations struggle under housing, involution, and anxiety, the authorities turn up the volume to sing, "The economy is bright." But no amount of singing can cover the chill. China has entered a triple valley of low deflation, low growth, and low confidence. On October 15th, the CCP's flagship journal, Xuxi, published an article calling to raise the level of public opinion guidance and to sing the bright prospects of China's economy in an all-round way. See? One line demands opinion guidance, the other demands all-round bright talk. The logic is, if I say the economy is good, then it's good. If I say it's bright in all dimensions, then it must be bright. But you and I know, when they start shouting bright, it usually means the dark clouds have truly arrived. Let's look at whether China's economy is really as bright as the party media claims. On October 15th, the National Bureau of Statistics reported that September's consumer price index continued to fall, with a drop larger than expected. In the context of weak household spending, the deflationary pressure points to new difficulties. The data also showed the Producer Price Index, PPI, fell year on year for 36 consecutive months. Exports to the U.S. plunged 27% year on year and fell nearly 17% for January-September. What does this mean? The economy is stalling, prices sliding, confidence evaporating. This isn't improving expectations. Deflation is worsening. Faced with reality, party media chose the familiar script, sing the China economy. But Professor Sun Guoxiang of Nanhua University, Taiwan, put it incisively. Whenever China's economy is shrouded in dark clouds, the party media shout even louder that it's sunny. This slogan-based confidence management is actually a kind of counter-market operation. Economist Huang Dewei noted, when signals are opaque and data diverge from reality, the market becomes even more afraid to invest and consume, because no one knows what's coming next. He believes China is lingering between three deep valleys: low deflation, low growth, and low confidence. This is not a problem slogans can solve. It is structural and systemic. The 15th five-year plan is just political theater. The 20th Central Committee's fourth plenum opens October 20th, supposedly to review the so-called 15th five-year plan. Many experts say this is more political choreography than a real economic solution. China scholar Wang, he was blunt. If the 14th five-year problems weren't solved, how could the 15th five-year solve them? It's just passing the parcel. In other words, political theater. He pointed out that the core issues remain unchanged: a property bust, piled up local debt, China trade confrontation, and weak exports. Even in foreign trade, the CCP just announced rare earth export controls, and the U.S. struck back with 100% tariffs and further tech restrictions against Chinese firms. In the short term, such confrontation only tightens the economic environment. Domestic consumption? Confidence is already at rock bottom. Shouting can't rescue the economy because the well has run dry. Nearly 190,000 scramble for the iron rice bowl. Hundreds vie for a single post. As the economic chill deepens, many no longer trust market opportunities, choosing instead to flee to the most stable option, the iron rice bowl. On day one of registration for the 2026 National Civil Service exam, nearly 190,000 people rushed in. A new grand game is beginning inside the system. One job, hundreds competing. That's the actual civil service exam ratio. Some joke the most crowded place in China isn't the subway, it's the civil service sign-up. Why is it that a job once viewed by youth as comfortable but with little room to grow is now the one they fight like mad to get? The pressure behind the numbers. According to Wadu Education, day one registrations already showed fierce competition. A post at the Durian Grain Reserve Bureau had a 162-to-1 ratio, the highest in the country. A position at the China Disabled Persons Federation in Beijing had 130-to-1. A grassroots police post at the Jiangnan Railway Public Security Bureau recruited one person with 649 applicants. These aren't high-ranking, high-paying sinecures. They are grassroots roles, labor-intensive with stringent demands. Why fight for them? One word: stability. Stable pay, stable establishment, stable bowl of rice, stable future. In an era of economic downturn, frequent layoffs, unaffordable housing, and a foggy future, the system has become the last harbor. What's behind the iron rice bowl phenomenon? A look at the registration surge reveals subtexts. First, young people have lost confidence in market employment. Internet jobs are no longer hot, the after-school tutoring industry has nearly collapsed, and foreign firms are retreating. Second, big city concentration is still attractive. Posts in Beijing, Shandong, and Guangdong are most popular. Smaller places, even with lower competition, can't draw applicants. Third, involution and anxiety drive the exams. Returnees can't find good jobs. Even 985 grads fear layoffs. So if you can become a civil servant, you try for relative stability. Some candidates say, once you pass, you're set for life. I'd rather make reports and write memos every day than face KPIs and constant risk of losing my job. In a sense, the civil service craze shows this. It's not that youth love public service, it's that the outside world is too unstable. It's less about wanting to be a public servant and more about fearing the social cold. You could call it conservative, or you could call it a realistic choice. With inverted salaries, high housing prices, and a blurry future, this bowl of iron rice looks like the only thing many feel they can grasp. But civil service slots are limited. If everyone wants in, can the system bear it? And can stability alone pull us out of an economic funk? The civil service exam fire is burning hotter, not the fire of confidence, but of panic. Nearly 190,000 registering on day one is only the start. The real issue is, if society doesn't offer youth more choices, then the iron rice bowl stops being an ideal and becomes an escape hatch. So would you enter the system or keep betting on the market? Share your thoughts in the comments. Villagers in Jiangxi are furious. Confronting a deputy town chief, police dispatched to maintain stability. Not everyone can enter the system, and not everyone chooses to endure. When there are no market opportunities and the system is too crowded to enter, people at the bottom can only speak in the most primitive way. The story that follows is a direct clash between villagers and state power. They block the machinery of government over a patch of hillside. Huaijia village in Lipiang City, Jiangxi province. The land was sold. Officials didn't respond. Villagers protested day and night and even crossed the river to guard the land. Then one day, the fishing boat they used to defend their rights disappeared. Villagers suspected the government took it, and the anger finally exploded. Facing a deputy town chief, the crowd surrounded and shoved. Police intervened. The conflict spiraled out of control. A real people versus public power confrontation. This police-public clash occurred on the evening of October 14th in Huaijia village near the Luan River. A strip of riverside hillside, once collectively owned by villagers, had recently been privately sold by the village committee to build a waterfall pier. The villagers were never informed, then the land was gone. They felt deceived and betrayed. From late September, hundreds crossed the river by boat daily, pitching tents on the opposite bank to guard the site and try to stop construction. Recently, the ferry to the hillside was blocked by the government, cutting off the rights defenders' only access. More outrageous, on the 14th, they found their fishing boat missing, suspecting government agents took it. The crowd boiled. That afternoon, they spotted a cadre suspected to be the deputy town chief in the village. At night, police arrived to rescue the cadre. Villagers refused to hand him over. Fierce shoving ensued. Some people struck out. The scene devolved into chaos. Physical clashes and brawls were captured on video and widely shared. This is a real struggle at the grassroots in China. Later reports said after multi-party mediation, villagers agreed to let the deputy town chief leave on condition the seized fishing boat be returned the next day. Related videos and photos have spread across social platforms, making the incident impossible to cover up. As of October 16th, villagers were still holding their ground. They were clear. Either make the land deal public and cancel the waterfall pier project, or we keep guarding. No retreat. And the government, no official response so far. This incident reveals deeper questions. How is collective land appropriated under opacity? When public power intervenes, is it maintaining order or suppressing dissent? Ultimately, villagers want nothing more than an explanation, a promise, a chance for dialogue. If none is offered, such clashes will repeat across every corner of China without end. 5 stories, from supermarkets to markets, from office towers to riverside villages. They look like scattered news flashes, but they're cross-sections of the same economic ebb. China's problem isn't just economic, it's the collective weightlessness of public confidence.